Breaking news, Zionists are furious that they just lost the song contest that's supposed to be rigged for Israel.
I find it so funny that Guy here is saying, oh, Zionists are furious that they didn't win. They only came second when nobody was expecting Israel to win. They were 8th place in the betting odds before the show. But he's like, oh, Zionists are furious that they didn't win. Meanwhile, he puts this tweet on screen from my friend Omri that literally cannot be construed as anything else but him celebrating the incredible result. He highlighted a section of the tweet where Omri is, again, celebrating the fact that Israel came second place and won the televote. So do you not know how to read? Probably not, because you are one of the dumbest people on the internet. Also, the contest was rigged for Israel. Israel came 15th in the jury with only 60 points. If the contest was actually rigged for them, you'd think maybe they do a little bit better in the jury. If anything, the contest was rigged against them for the second year in a row by preventing them from winning, but we're not going to get into that conversation.
Eurovision, Europe. Why is Israel participating in a European song contest?
Because Israel is a member of the European Broadcasting Union, the company, I guess, that puts on Eurovision. And despite its name, the EBU is not only for European countries. Here's the European Broadcasting Area, which means that any country in this area can be a part of Eurovision if they want to. And it encompasses all of North Africa, as you can see, as well as a lot of the Middle East, including Lebanon, Syria, Turkey, Iraq. Even a part of Saudi Arabia is included in this zone. So, for example, if Saudi Arabia wanted to take part in Eurovision, they technically would be able to do that. No Arab countries participate. That's on them, although Morocco did participate 1 year back in the 80s. But that doesn't mean that you're automatically a European country. Australia has been competing in the contest since 2015. Does that make them a European country? Don't think so.
Funnily enough, Russia was part of Eurovision. They were in the EBU up until 2022 when they were kicked out for invading the Ukraine. But Israel's still in it. I wonder how they manage while committing a genocide.
Maybe because there's no genocide? Have you ever thought about that? Probably not, because it doesn't really seem like you have a lot of coherent thoughts in that empty mind of yours. But the situation between Russia and also Belarus, because Belarus was banned at the same time that Russia was, the situation between them and Ukraine and the Israeli broadcaster is fundamentally different. So Russia and Belarus were banned because those broadcasters were state-run broadcasters, and they were spreading lies and propaganda to justify their invasion into Ukraine. And the EBU did not want to have those countries in the contest while their members were being invaded. Ukraine is also an EBU member, so it was a bad look for the EBU for one of their member states, actually two of their member states, to invade another one and spread lies and propaganda about it. Israel is a fundamentally different situation. Khan is the broadcaster for Eurovision in Israel, and they are completely independent from the Israeli broadcaster, and actually on many different occasions, the Netanyahu government has tried to silence Khan and shut them down, which would put Israeli Eurovision participation in danger and actually would really hinder democratic rights in Israel. It could mean the death of democracy in Israel. So it's a completely different situation that you clearly have not even done a little bit of research into.
They use government funds to pay for votes. They pay for ad spending, which is technically against the rules, but who cares?
Here is another blatant lie from Guy here. Advertising is absolutely not against EBU rules. Find me anywhere in the Eurovision rulebook that you cannot advertise your entry, because that rule does not exist. He is lying to you. So Malta advertised their entry this year on Grindr, which is interesting, but that's allowed. Israel is fully within the rights to advertise their entry. Now, we can have an argument, we can have a discussion about maybe that shouldn't be allowed for the future, but in 2025, that was absolutely within the rules. Also, Israel bought votes. Where's your evidence of that? Can you find me one singular piece of evidence that Israel bought votes? Good luck. You're going to need it, because it doesn't exist.
And when you count in the fact that many pro-Palestinian people are boycotting Eurovision for their allowing a genocidal apartheid state to participate in it, it makes a lot of sense. So
these are the ratings for Eurovision this year. 170 million people watched the show, which was higher than 2024, 2023, and 2022. So if pro-Palestinians are actually boycotting and not watching, it's not registering at all.
Booing, but being real though, facing that level of disapproval and hatred in the crowd, it must have been horrible for Israel's darling performer, Yuval Raphael. The suffering she must have faced, makes the suffering of the families she burned in Gaza alive while she served in the IDF pale in comparison.
This is histrionic language at best. He has no evidence to support any of his claims in this entire video, and he just expects you to believe it because it's coming from him. So Yuval never killed anybody while in the IDF. Her service was actually before October 7th, and I find it so disgusting that he's saying, oh, look at how terrible she was treated. The suffering she must have gone through on that stage hearing boos. Maybe he knows this, or I would assume he knows this based on all the news coverage of it, but Yuval suffered through the October 7th massacre. She was a survivor. She hid under dead bodies of her friends for 8 hours to survive that massacre. And for him to downplay that and make fun of it is just absolutely disgusting. He doesn't view Israelis as human beings, clearly.
I do want to mention that a few European countries like Belgium and Spain displayed disclaimers before Israel performed in Eurovision, denouncing the Palestinian suffering and genocide that they are facing under Israel. But unfortunately, Eurovision is probably going to fine them for doing such a thing.
Because it's against EBU rules. Eurovision is supposed to be non-political. You cannot have politics in your song. You cannot display political messages like Belgium and Spain try to do. And yes, they should get fined because they're not following the rules. This video was just complete psychobabble, total nonsense, and blatant lies for 5 minutes, 4 minutes and 20 seconds? I don't think he said a single truthful thing this entire video, but guess what? He expects you to believe it because it's coming from him. He's one of the dumbest content creators on the entire platform. I mean, somebody had to call this bullshit out, so I'm glad it's me.